for today's webinar about Oracle Reports Transformation Made Easy. A warm welcome from my side from very rainy Germany. I'm happy to know Jason is with us. So today we'd like to give you an overview how we see the future of Oracle Reports and a couple of opportunities for transformation into a new world, into a new infrastructure. So the webinar itself is full of content, and so we'd like to have a quick start. Jason will give us an overview and introduction about PITSS and our environment we're working in. And afterwards, I pick up the speech once more to give you a technical overview about Oracle Reports Transformation Made Easy. Jason, hello. So it's up on you to give us the overview of PITSS and our work.
No problem. Thank you, Stefan. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Mara, and I head up sales and operations for PITSS America. So I'm based in Troy, Michigan, in the United States. Happy to join Stefan and all of you on today's webcast. As Stefan said, the topic is Oracle Reports Transformation. Stefan plans to cover in great detail what's going on with Oracle Reports, a statement of direction, and really what your options are for doing a transformation. If we look at what's going on in the market, especially when it comes to reporting and analytics and dashboards, you know, this is a top priority, at least here in the United States, for many organizations. So deciding and creating a roadmap for your Oracle Reports should be something you're thinking about and actively working to come up with a plan on how to transition off of Oracle Reports into another type of technology. But I know Stefan has a great presentation plan, so I won't take up a bunch of time, but just for those of you that do not know PITSS, just maybe a quick introduction here. Who we are. So PITSS, quite simply, we're the leader in digital transformation for legacy systems. What's a legacy system? Well, you know, you can argue that Oracle, any type of application that's developed in forms and reports, is a legacy system. If you're running one of these applications, chances are that it's been in production for many years, probably 10, 15, 20, 25, and 25 years or so. So we also know that these types of applications are critical to your business, right? You rely on these systems. You built these yourselves, or you bought these apps from a third party, and now you're responsible for maintaining them. Forms and reports, there's a current version, 12C, of course. I can tell you that most of the organizations that we work with in the US are looking at ways of transitioning off of the forms and reports stack into something else, whether that be ADF or an open source type solution like Spring or AngularJS or .NET or something along those lines. So it's really about how can we digitally transform these legacy systems? How can we stay competitive in our market space? How can we leverage the investment we've made in forms and reports technology over the years and continue to leverage that investment for many years to come? And that's really what we specialize in. A little bit more background on the company. So we've been in business for some time now, approaching 2 decades, so 18 years now. We have more than 500 customers in 40 countries, so we're a global company. Obviously, you all know we have our head office in Germany. Like I said, our America's office is based here in the US in Michigan, but we recently opened up offices in Mexico, Brazil, and the UK as well. So we are truly a global company made up of about 80 people that specialize in these various types of technologies. So obviously, forms and reports is a big part of what we do. For those of you who know PITSS, that's what we've specialized in over the years. And it's been a lot with upgrades and development projects specific in the form stack. But now, as digital transformation is really just taking the market by storm and disrupting many different industries. You hear of companies like Uber and Spotify and Netflix and these types of new modern companies that are just disrupting the typical organizations that ran within these industries. So now it's how can we help you all look at remain competitive in your marketplace, and again leverage your legacy systems for many years to come. So really it's about architecture now as well. So you see we specialize in enterprise architecture, we specialize in mobile, we specialize in SOA and microservices types architecture, modern open architectures. That said, from a technology standpoint, we've really PITSS have transformed ourselves and expanded our horizons, where we have talent, we have the skill sets in-house in HTML5, Java, .NET, again, specifically around ADF and Spring and AngularJS, like a lot of these newer types of open source solutions that you probably keep hearing about, whether it's at trade shows, whether it's in websites, magazine, various publications. So we truly have the experience needed to help guide you on your digital transformation journey. So how we work, just a couple more slides from my side, and I'm going to turn it back over to Stefan. This is really our philosophy. I don't like to read slides, but I think it's important that you understand this and understand our process. So we listen to each customer's unique service and technology needs. We guide customers through structured digital transformations. We help customers realize business value at each step of a modernization project. What does digital transformation even really mean? Well, quite simply, it's just using modern tools to, let's say, remain competitive in your marketplace, or using modern technology to retain customers or grow your customer base, or to optimize internal and external business processes, or to optimize your value proposition. A lot of those companies that I mentioned, the Netflix and the Spotifys of the world, were built on modern technologies, and they truly have an agile process embedded in that company. That's why they're able to act fast, move fast, and just capture market share at an astounding rate. And this is the type of thing that we like to teach and guide our customers through. How can we bring this agile mindset? How can we bring digital transformation to our organization so that we do remain competitive in the marketplace and even capture more market share than what we're doing today? Some of our solutions that we offer, these are the core solutions anyways, and these are more in line with the digital transformation journey for your legacy systems, if you will. One is our process analysis, which is incredible. If you're running a legacy forms and reports application, before you do anything, you need to have a 360-degree view of your application. And I don't mean just what forms and what reports are being used and what's not being used. I'm talking about the exact features of the application. What are the users actually using? How are they interacting with your application? And that's what our process analysis does. It will essentially record all the various business processes that your users invoke with their application, and provide data back to us showing exactly which buttons were clicked, which features are used, and what is the code behind that. So we now have a lot of information about an application, so we can start the roadmap or start the digital transformation journey, because we're going to plan that roadmap based upon exactly what's being used in that application. And that goes forward with this roadmap assessment. So what does my journey look like? Where do I need to go? Okay, if reports is going away, what's the next step? Is it BI Publisher? Is it Jasper? Is it BERT? You know, all these number of different reporting tools. The answer is we don't know. We need to work, we need to sit down with you, and we need to work together to create that roadmap. And that roadmap is based upon future state requirements, future state architecture, and that helps guide that technology choice, a technology that's best for your organization. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with our PITSS.CON software. It's gone through tremendous changes in recent years, and we have some great changes planned for the upcoming releases as well. So PITSS.CON is really the driver behind that process analysis, the roadmap creation. It gives us the complete view of your application, what's being used, what's not being used, and we use PITSS.CON to capture that data so we can start creating that roadmap for your organization, your digital transformation roadmap. And then we're going to also use it going forward to allow you to preserve and retain the critical business logic that's embedded in your monolithic forms and reports application, and continue to use it in the next generation of your application, whatever that may be. That, then coupled with our full stack team, this is critical in terms of a full stack team that not only has successfully completed numerous transformation type of projects, but really at the end of the day knows how to do an Oracle Forms and Reports migration, modernization, transformation, call it what you will. That is critical. I've seen so many times organizations try to take on these types of projects themselves, and they may have a great development team, right, with years of experience, but if you've never done a migration project before, there's just things you're not going to know what to do and what not to do. You're just not going to have that insight in terms of what are the best practices. So we employ at PITSS, although a smaller company with 80 people, but again, you saw the slide, we have the right people in place to handle the back end development, the front end development, the architects, and the technical leads to lead a successful project for your organization. So at this time, hopefully it was a good overview for you all. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Stefan so he can get into the real interesting stuff around Oracle reports migrations. Stefan, I'm going to go ahead and make you presenter now, if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Jason, for the very interesting overview. A couple of good ideas I'd like to pick up in my presentation. Thank you for that. And now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let's start into the technical part. Oracle Reports Transformation Made Easy. As Jason said, that is the main objective for today. I'd like to give you some possibilities where your road could be going away, like migrating to BI Publisher, like migrating to JasperReports. What are the possibilities, and how PITSS.CON and PITSS with the services could support you on the way. So what is the reason why we sit together in this webinar? It's pronounced by Oracle. As you may know, in the latest statement of direction, Oracle itself released the note that reports will die after the actual release. The latest release, or the last release, will be 12.2.1.3. So reports have the same way, the same paths like Designer or Discoverer before. It will be terminated. There is no support, no upcoming releases. So October 23 is the last day you can use reports in a supported environment. So better start right now for alternatives, solutions with Oracle reports or with your reporting environment. The solution which is pronounced by Oracle itself is Oracle BI Publisher. So let's start thinking about what is the way and what are the possibilities to go from reports to BI Publisher. BI Publisher is coming up with years ago as XML Publisher and buy by Oracle and go in different ways into the Oracle product strategy. So there is part of the BI solution, it's also part of the e-business suite, and it's also part of a standalone development environment for reporting. Under the hood of, or under the overview, or under the front-end tools for BI Publisher, it consists of 4 different technologies, 4 different parts. So let's have a quick overview. On one hand, you see a data handler, and that is responsible for getting all your data for the reports. That could be SQL statements, could be XML streams, could also be web services. At the end, the data option of BI Publisher transform all incoming data into XML representations. That is where the name came from, as an XML publisher. The second very interesting and very important part is the template manager. So you have the possibility of different templates using, or different ways of implementing your templates. The easiest one is to use the online builder. There's a web UI available for BI Publisher, and you can allow your customers or the end users perhaps even to create their own layout. So changing of sorting in a table, changing of column arrangement, changing of simple filter criteria are made very easy in BI Publisher. For more pixel perfect layout, for more fancy layout, there are Word or Office plugins available. So you can use Microsoft Word to generate a layout for BI Publisher report, or even at least PDF templates. You can programmatically generate PDF documents out of this. The third one, and very, very fancy feature, is the delivery server. He's responsible, or it's responsible for distributing all content you generate. That could be different kind of formats like PDF or websites or XML files at least, or files responsible for account transactions on various devices. So distributing a PDF per email or sending an XML document to cloud storage or whatever. So there is the responsible for the delivery server. And last but not least, you have a translation handler. The translation handler is responsible for translating your report into different languages. So that is totally different from what you do in Oracle reports. Whenever you have a different layout in report, or a different target file format, or a different language, you have to copy the report for a new version of that. BI Publisher could handle this very efficient, only with different translation handler or different template handler. So the options are very bright, very, very good, very sophisticated. But if we compare directly Oracle reports with BI Publisher, there are a couple of obstacles you have to take, you have to overwhelm. And that is the main objective inside a transformation process. So Oracle reports itself is transaction-based. So you can have a commit statement inside. You can track information. Whenever a page is printing, you can count that and commit that into a database table. That is not possible in a BI Publisher from scratch without any additional programming. So the BI Publisher is loose coupled between data, layout, and distribution. So whenever the data is provided in the XML stream, there is no connection back to the database. So you have to think about solutions roundabout. The knowledge for Oracle reports, you know very well, it's PL/SQL based. Whenever you are PL/SQL familiar, you can implement triggers in reports. You can take care about data providing and so on. So that is not the same language you use BI Publisher. If you start programming with BI Publisher, you have to take care about XML, XSL, XLIF. So that is your new language talking about. In Oracle reports, you have a very fixed development environment. It's the Oracle report builder. You have to use that, no doubt, no problems, no solutions, no workarounds, Oracle reports, and that's it. For BI Publishers, there are various tools roundabout you can use. As I mentioned before, it's a browser-based development environment, but you can also use Word or Excel for the layout structure. Even you can programmatically generate XSL file if you like. So various options. And last but not least, there's a strict difference between the developer and the user in the Oracle Reports environment. You have a couple of developers responsible for generating the Oracle reports, and a couple of users consume the results of the reports, even through forms or through a web interface or whatever. In Oracle BI Publisher, there are a couple of different roles. So there's a developer responsible for the data model, but you can have a couple of key users which are familiar with the online builder, which have a self-service dashboard available. They can store their own layouts, or they can generate different layouts for the same data set. So there are a couple of interactions possible coming out of the box without any adjustments necessary. So the consumer of a BI Publisher report can store their results in an own repository. So they are interactive, and there are different roles available in BI Publisher. To see that more in detail, you can compare each element in Oracle reports with an element in BI Publisher. So you can see there are very familiar sets. A query is a data set in BI Publisher. That's very easy. A couple of things have to be adjusted. So formula column or placeholder column has to be regenerated or implemented in the data set. And at the end, there are a couple of components in reports which are not available in BI Publisher anymore, like a file link or an anchor. So if you use that component, you have to have another solution for that. You have to rethink your process where a couple of solutions are visible. So, but that are all reasons why you have to take care about, or points you have to take care about if you have to migrate. But there are a couple of reasons available why you should change to BI Publisher, because there are a broader range of possibilities. So as I said, it's very easy to cover multiple formats, multiple layouts, multiple languages inside the same reports. So you have more opportunities with BI Publisher. There's a very easy integration in Forms, Apex, ADF. So if you have a very bright IT landscape with different kind of front-end tools, you can use and consume the BI Publisher from different kind of front-end tools. And you can set up very easy interactive reports to allow your customers to adjust layout, sorting, filtering, and create own very fancy dashboards. And the most fancy thing I found is such report bursting. You can set up very easy, perhaps like a personalized email bursting with attachments out of BI Publisher with any additional implementation necessary. So there are a couple of opportunities and advantages why you should use BI Publisher. On the why not side, we see there is now out of the box conversion from Oracle reports without any manual adjustments available. We see later on in the upcoming slide how we could adjust that. But that is a part you have to take care about. There is an effort necessary to move to BI Publisher. And right now, there are license costs, additional license costs. So many of the customers and many projects we cover and we see think about open source solutions, right and left side the BI Publisher. So more than that, for that later on in the next slide. But first of all, let's pick up the way of the conversion, for the transformation from reports to BI Publisher. So there's a tool available from Oracle. It's the Oracle Converter for BI Publisher. And that is more or less a very good idea to start with, because it picks up your Oracle reports definition files. You have to convert them to XML, but there's a batch converter available for Oracle reports. And this converting tool split down your RDF file into the appropriate files for the BI Publisher. So that is the data model file, the layout file, the file for all PL/SQL packages for your backend, and a log file, what could be converted and what could not be converted. So that is the first step, and that is a good step to start with, but there are some disadvantages on the left and the right side. but see how they go on with Oracle. So yesterday, to prepare those webinar, I get in contact with Pradeep Sharma once more. He's the product manager for Oracle BI Publisher, and I talked with him about the webinar for today and if there are some new information from the BI Publisher product development team, which I'm allowed to present. And so there are two more or less rumors, two topics they talk about, and so that is the information I'm allowed to give you with. Is there is an adjustment for the converter tool for reports and BI Publisher 12c. Right now, this converter is available for 11g only, but they think, or they plan to have a new release 12c. Right now, you have to migrate to 11c BI Publisher and then have a migration inside BI Publisher to 12c. And they talk about migrating from the more or less old school RTF template to a modern docx template to support Word plugins as the layout development tool. RTF template is a binary file which is not directly accessible from other tools rather than perhaps Microsoft Word. docx is more open, and there are a couple of Java tools outside who are able to write and read docx, so it makes sense to move them to docx. And what I said before, I just have an additional talk with Michael Ferrante from the Oracle Forms and Reports development team. And you may know, if you have an Internet Developer Suite from the latest version 12c, you are allowed to use BI Publisher inside your development and test environment for free. It's bundled inside the Forms Reports Developer Suite license. But it's not allowed to use BI Publisher in the production environment right now. Oracle itself tried to cover those licenses into the Forms and Reports WebLogic server license, but it's just in the legal department from Oracle, and it's not allowed to do it right now, but they think about, so there could be good news in the next days or weeks, so that BI Publisher have a very interesting license model for Forms and Reports customers. So as I said, the converter itself made his job, but there are a couple of things not covered with the Oracle reports to BI Publisher migration, and that's the point where PITSS.CON came on to the board. As you may see from the development documentation, the limitation of the conversion tool is the format triggers could not cover it, charts could not cover it, and matrix reports there are a problem with. But we find out in a couple of migration projects that there are other additional obstacles. So you have some problems with the data model. Oh, sorry, I see there is a misspelling. There are a couple of points with the data model as well. So if you use select star or connect by prior or table-based function inside the reports, that could not cover it very well into the BI Publisher. But PITSS.CON can cover them and prepare your reports for a very easy and smooth migration. Even though the PLSQL code is moved to the database report per report, but that doesn't make sense very well, or very doesn't make sense, because you create a package for each report, and there will be a couple of redundancy inside for format triggers, for calculated columns, and so on. So what we do is we refactor your PLSQL code inside your reports, moving as much as possible with your naming convention into your database model in your package structure, and afterwards let the migration tool running from Oracle. What we also see is that if you have hundreds of reports, you don't aware of all your fonts using. You lay your hand on your heart and say, oh, I'm only using Helvetica or Arial or Times New Roman. But if you look inside your reports, we see a couple of different fonts are using, and it makes sense to have an overview and to clean up your reports with a consistent CI, a consistent font usage. As Jason mentioned in the introduction, we have a very, very fancy feature like the process analysis available, and we record your usage. And for the usage of Oracle reports, we not only cover the reports which are used, we also cover the parameter which are used to start the report. And with this information, we are very good in setting up test cases for your new environment. So whenever your journey goes to BI Publisher or to JasperReports or to Bird, we have real live test data for you available with each and every report. So you can set up something like a unit test for your new report environment. And there are some enhancements for the XLS templates and replacement, but that is seen later on in the next slide. So we prepare the data model, we kick out every dead code and redundancy and adjust the naming convention and the PLSQL coding convention to your specific conventions. We check the font usage, we record the parameter, and we set up some templates. And that is what you see in this slide. I think everybody is familiar with the left side of this slide. That is typically a format trigger from Oracle reports, picking up from the education environment, from the reports trainings. And that is the appropriate adjustment in BI Publisher, what you see on the right side. So you have to get familiar with XSL and the XDAO namespace and so on. And that is not very obvious in the first step. But what we provide with PITSS.CON is we translate those parts for you and make them available as code snippets. So if you have a fine-tuning in Word, and remember the Word template is based on RTF templates, and we could not write directly with PITSS.CON or any Java tool inside the RTF template right now, but we can provide you with these templates. So you can copy and paste them to the appropriate places. And so yeah, there's a very easy adjustment for you inside BI Publisher. To cover all these in a process description, that is what we provide. We start with a very deep analyze, and you will see the results of those kinds of analyze later on. And these analyses not only cover your environment, they cover all your process. There's an additional questionnaire with around about 15 different topics: how you use reports, how you start them, do you fill some interface data with your reports, and so on. That is also covered in those kind of analyses. If we pick your environment, we clean your reports, we see what are triggers which are still inside the reports but never ever used because they are commented out, or the appropriate calculation field is not available anymore. There are documented units, they are not called anymore, and that is cleaned. And on the other side, we try to move as much as possible from your business logic and even your libraries attached to the reports to the database, so they can use later on also in the BI Publisher environment, because they are based inside the database and can be called from BI Publisher. So if we are migrating your reports to BI Publisher, what's going on the forms side? There have to be a couple of adjustments also in the forms environment. With the latest version 12c, there's a very, very good integration between Oracle Forms and Oracle BI Publisher. So you can use that inside Forms directly as you use Oracle reports. To make that visible, here's a screenshot available from the developer, Forms developer, and you see there's additional report object types coming with the latest release 12c. It's Oracle BI Publisher. So you can define the reports inside Forms. You can define the name and the way you like to communicate. Under the hood, it's still web services, and you call the Oracle BI Publisher over a web service. To hand over the parameter, there is no add parameter list available for BI Publisher, but a couple of system parameters. So the behavior is still the same, but you have to change the syntax. But therefore, once more, PITSS.CON provide you with a couple of scripts to identify your places where you call Oracle reports from a forms trigger or a program unit or a library function and change the parameter list with the new used Oracle BI Publisher system parameters. So that is PITSS.CON very good for an easier job. So, but what is coming up if you don't like to go to Oracle to Oracle BI Publisher? In a couple of projects, we see that more and more customers look over the sea to find new solutions in the open source market and try to identify what could be an ancestor for Oracle reports. And what we see, there are good tools out there. There's a Pentaho suite with a bunch of tools available. There's EclipseBird available. Even PDF as a report tool based only on PLSQL packages could be a solution for that. But we find out that more and more customers like to go to JasperReports. So I like to spend a couple of more slides for the migration to JasperReports. JasperReports is an open source Java tool, and it's founded in more or less 16 years ago by a guy, Theodor Danque, and we are in a very tight contact with him and work together with him. JasperSoft is bought by TIBCO 3 years ago, but Theodor is still with the company and still responsible for JasperReports. It's an open source tool, and you can use different kind of sources like JDBC sources and Oracle database, XML sources, whatever, and you can provide different kind of outputs like PDF, RTF, XML, whatever you like. And there's an environment tool or a developer tool available based on more like Eclipse-based JasperSoft Studio, where you can develop your reports in a what you see is what you get behavior. But the language you take care about, it's Java, JavaScript, or even Groovy as an expression language. You are very flexible in your layout. There are a couple of platforms supported, but at the end you have to get familiar with JasperSoft. It's a little bit more difficult to learn. There's an SQL designer inside. It's not very comfortable, but it does what it's good for. It makes the job, and you can define very good looking reports, no problem. And as you see it on the top of the slide, the last question by Theodor give us around about 175,000 deployments for JasperReports over the world. So it's a well-known and often used tool. To compare Oracle reports with JasperReports and what to do, there are a couple of things to do. There's no direct PLSQL support available, so you have to go with a bridge over Java and to integrate Java calls inside. So it's a good decision to move as much as possible to the database. So there is a very fast container. The database is a very fast container for PLSQL, and you can save your invest you've done in PLSQL. There's no direct validation trigger available, so there's a couple of refactoring necessary, as you see in this slide, but it's possible to do so. JasperReports have a different kind of architecture. So there's, if you see a repeating frame in Oracle reports bound to a group query or to a query itself, that is at the end more or less considered as one template inside JasperReports. So we see customers using more than dozens of repeating frames in their Oracle reports. So that is split down in a couple of sub-templates for JasperReports. So what I've done yesterday to prepare my presentation for today, I just go back to our PITSS headquarters in Stuttgart and discuss a little bit with the guys sitting in our more or less PITSS.CON lab, where they try to figure out what could be upcoming functionalities in the next PITSS.CON release, what we are working on, and what's already available. And so that is the news I come with to allow PITSS.CON to support migration from Oracle reports to JasperReports. no matter that what we are done before in the preparation phase, so to remove dead code, to remove a redundancy, to move all business logic to database, to set up views based on complex groups inside reports inside the database to allow to consume those views in various reporting environments. That is all ready and done and finished and can be used to prepare a very clean reports to JasperReports migration. But on top of this, we try to generate the XML files JasperReport based on outside the PITSS.CON repository. And that is very helpful because the XML file is more easier to write rather than an RTF template for BI Publisher. So it's very easy for us to set up an XML file for the JasperReports. Inside a JasperReports XML file, you bound the data source together with the layout. They are bound together in one file. So we set up an XML file with the data source and the basic layout from a repeating frame. And that is a very good starting point for you to reorganize the JasperReports. What already exists, and for various other migration, as you may know, we also support migration from forms to open source Java or to ADF. And for that, we have a very, very good and sophisticated PL/SQL to Java migration tool that is integrated in the reports to JasperReports migration. So every format trigger, every before and after report trigger is migrated to a Java class and can be combined to a complete class, which we could later on bound to a JasperReports. Everything you like to do inside a JasperReports, like formatting, calculated columns, and so on, has to be done inside a Java class with a couple of methods. And these methods could be picked up from the existing PL/SQL logic. That saves a lot of time and gives you an idea what kind of methods you have to fine-tune later on inside your JasperReports development. And as I said before, with the process analyzers, we are able to track the usage of reports. And if you switch from JasperReports to Oracle reports to JasperReports, you have to provide the same parameters. You call the functionality with the same parameters. And with this, we provide you with hundreds and thousands of unit tests you can adapt on your web services for JasperReports to prove if the generated JasperReports have the same behavior like the Oracle reports before. So that is coming up from our personal inside PITSS labs. Very good news from the development department, and I'm looking forward to have them available in the very next PITSS.CON release. So what's going on with JasperReports? If you finalize your reports, how could you consume them in your environment? Let's assume you stay in Forms and just switch Oracle reports with JasperReports. JasperReports based on web services. So everything you like, or every time you like to consume a report, you can do that with a web service. There's a Jasper server available. You can hand over all parameters necessary for that, and you can integrate them very easy in your Forms application with a simple web show document. So it's an asynchronous call to the JasperReports environment, and the report will come up probably with a PDF document, and you can print them out or hand over wherever you want. So that is our way to support JasperReports. But if you think about transformation itself, when you start with Oracle reports and your journey go to BI Publisher or JasperReports, no matter what, or even BERT is possible at the end, don't put your focus too narrow on a page by page or report by report migration. Allow yourself to go step back and think about the process of reporting in a modern world. Everybody knows the time where reporting is still printing data on paper and running around from office to office and hand over thousands of documents, thousands of papers to allow inside information over a process or whatever. So in the modern world, also report has changed. It's coming more or less like a push information, like a dashboard information, and so on. So what we like to do is not only focus very narrow on a migration from a binary to another binary. It's more or less to have a focus on the reporting process itself. And there are a couple of questions you ask yourself. Sure, by now, also in the future, you will have reporting requirements for labels, for barcodes. You have to consider trace of your printer and whatever. So that is definitely a part. On the other hand, you have to think about a corporate design, a corporate interface. You have to think about your layout of your reports, of translation into other languages to provide your data for different customers located in different areas. But what's coming up and not fully supported by Oracle reports by now is how you provide an offline consumption of reports. How could you make a very easy schedule or event handling available in your reporting? So a couple of documents should only start when a specific event took place. So reporting should be a part of an overall SOA environment for an overall, more or less, business process environment. Also, you think about more or less a self-service. I see a lot of customers out there, and they are boring and waiting for the development department to provide a report with another sorting, with another layout, with another additional column, because they are missing a column in the actual reporting. And so moving reporting to a kind of self-service portal allow the customer to be more agile, to be more free in the choice of how they consume the reports. So with this, everybody talk about new architecture for modern application landscape like cloud environment or microservices. You think about microservices for your transaction application, but what is about microservices for a reporting environment? You split all necessary information from top to down to have a very microservice approach so that you can split out only one part of your application and replace that with another technology. So think about that as well. Think about cloud environment for your reporting environment. And last but not least, what is about mobile? What is about consuming reports on smartphones, tablets, mobile phones, and so on? Put all these things together in your discussion about what is the next step for Oracle reports. Not changing only one tool with another. Think about your complete process. Oracle itself has a very personal, very aggressive view, I think, what's about cloud computing. I think you know all the cloud offers from Oracle. There are a very good one outside. So there's a very high-level Java cloud service available. And inside this, it's very easy to set up the Oracle BI Publisher into the cloud environment. And with this step, you get additional benefit from all the other cloud offers. So Oracle BI Publisher allow you to generate documents inside the document cloud service. So if you have a personalized access with your personal identity management based on the cloud service, you can generate documents in my specific cloud area, in my scope, so that I'm available to consume the generated documents over my cloud access. And that's very fancy and very easy. It's totally secure. It's captured with the security algorithm. It's based on the identity management services from Oracle. So it's very easy to use and set up. So, but that is more or less a step for thinking about also printing as a service. And there are a couple of system integrators outside and service providers outside giving you or allow you to consume printing as a service. That means that you're not only hosting your environment on this side, you're always hosting the printer environment on those files. So there is no need to have own printers on in-house It's not necessary to take care about the maintainability of the printer. It's much more easier to hand over data for thousands of reports to your hosting environment rather than providing a printer environment inside your house. So there's a couple of services available out there. One link you find on this slide, it's from ThinPrint. They take over all your printings, and you have to pay only for the environment and the service, and don't set up an own environment. While researching for this webinar, I found a very fancy feature as printing as a service. It's based on a solution in the Netherlands, and that's very fancy. Imagine you run with your smartphone through the city of the Netherlands, and you want to have your boarding pass perhaps for your next flight, not only as a boarding pass on your smartphone. To be sure, you want to have that as a printout, but your smartphone has not yet a printer. But you can hand over that to the next printing location, and there's an app available from service provider for these printing solutions, and you can send these printing to your next location and get over there and get your print out, and it's very fancy, very easy to use, and that's very, I think, a very good solution for, or very creative solution to see printing with totally different aspects. To see something from a different aspect, or to get an overview, is the last part I like to cover. What is a good starting point for you outside to start with your Oracle Reports environment and to see what could be a good solution for my specific environment? And to achieve that, PITSS.CON provide you with a couple of analyze features. Jason mentioned that in the beginning, that we have a couple of analyze available. One of those is the migration analyze, and I'd like to point out that with this, we take care about your complete environment, and it's based on forms, database, reports, so your complete application, because reports itself has some dependency to forms, to database, to perhaps scripts, to schedulers, and so on. So we cover all of them, and we create for you an estimation, and it's no estimation, it's the wrong word. We calculate the exact offer which is necessary or which is needed to migrate those environment to BI Publisher or even JasperReports. And with this, you get a very good overview. And we don't put them as a very high level estimation or calculation. We go very deep inside your reports. So that is a couple of examples of results, what we figure out. So we take care of each line of code inside your Oracle reports, and we identify all critical obstacles. And there are a couple of obstacles we don't talk about today, and what we could solve with PITSS.CON and give you a workaround available, all which needed as a manual effort at the end. And what you see is we always capture the usage of fonts later on, and you see a very good example over here. The customer said, "Oh, I only use Helvetica and Arial," but we see there are so many other fonts used, and so we already take care about the quality of the reports at the end. So that is a very good estimation. We hand over all these results to you at the end of those analyze, so that you have a very fine-tuned project plan. What does a migration or transformation from reports to BI Publisher or JasperReports is in your specific environment? That belongs to a complete roadmap we provide to transform Oracle reports to a final architecture. And that is what we are still starting with. It's an initial presentation. That is what we already have right now. Next step could be in reports orientation day. If you're not sure if BI Publisher or JasperReports is the correct choice, or even BIRD or PLL PDF, we come to you, we have a day together, we start a discussion, we take care about your specific environment of your specific report process, and at the end we could have an advice for you what could be a good choice. To prove that it's a good choice, we can start the analyze I talked before to have a very detailed information available and have a very exact calculation available for you. And last but not least, we could start together in a proof of concept to split out a cluster of very interesting reports, perhaps a couple of different reports, and migrate them together with you into the final architecture. And that's what I'd like to provide for you as the main objective of the main idea at the end of my presentation. Think about different solutions for Oracle reports. Try to start with an analyze to get more accurate information, to get more deep inside information about your specific reports. And let's start together the transformation into the new world. At the end of my presentation, I think there could be a couple of questions outside. If you like, you can use the chat functionality for your inside your GoToWebinar panel. There's a chat room available, so I'm here for a couple of some more minutes. Whenever a question come up, please feel free and ask them inside the chat functionality. If you are overwhelmed of information, you are able to pick up the presentation in the next days on your regular YouTube channel, so you can have a review together with your colleagues to see the interesting information once more. Or feel free to ask myself when per email or even per Twitter if there's a couple of questions coming up afterwards. Hand over to me, give me an email. I'm happy to help you on your journey to a new reports environment. So at this point, thank you very much for your consistent stay in the webinar. I hope I can give you as much as information as needed right now to see or to allow you the view on different opportunities for your reporting environment. I wish you a good day, and wherever you are, a good day or a good afternoon. And I hope we see soon in one of our next webinars. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.